For more than a decade, Britney Spears lived under one of the most unusual legal arrangements ever imposed on a global pop star. Her life, her money, her career, and even some of her personal choices were controlled by others. Then, in 2021, it finally ended. The conservatorship that defined Britney Spears' adult life was terminated, and the world celebrated what many saw as her long-overdue freedom. But years later, a serious question remains. What actually changed for Britney Spears after the conservatorship ended? Did freedom bring peace? Did it bring healing? Or did it expose deeper struggles that had long been hidden? Tonight, we're taking a deep, honest look at what really changed for Britney Spears after the conservatorship. Not rumors, not clickbait, but the full picture. Before we talk about what changed, we need to understand what Britney was coming from. In 2008, after a series of highly publicized breakdowns, Britney Spears was placed under a conservatorship led primarily by her father, Jamie Spears. At the time, the public was told this was temporary, an emergency measure to protect a vulnerable person. But the conservatorship lasted 13 years. During that time, Britney did not have full control over her finances. She could not freely make medical decisions. She needed approval for career moves. She reportedly had limited control over her personal life. Despite this, she continued working. She recorded albums. She went on tour. She headlined a massively successful Las Vegas residency. This contradiction, being too unstable to control her life, yet stable enough to generate millions, became one of the most disturbing aspects of the situation. For more than a decade, one of the most haunting aspects of Britney Spears' conservatorship was not just the control itself, it was the silence. Britney was everywhere, on stages, in music videos, on magazine covers. But when it came to her own life, her own truth, she said almost nothing. Interviews were carefully managed. Public appearances were scripted. And every time she was asked about the conservatorship, the answers were vague, deflective, or clearly rehearsed. For years, the public was told the same thing over and over again. The conservatorship is helping her. It's necessary. She's doing better because of it. And because Britney herself wasn't speaking, many people believed it. But behind the scenes, frustration was building not just among fans, but within Britney herself. Around 2019, a group of fans began paying closer attention. They noticed inconsistencies, cryptic Instagram posts, strange legal filings, Britney canceling performances without explanation, court documents that didn't add up. What started as concern slowly turned into activism. The Number Free Britney movement gained momentum online, with fans protesting outside courthouses, analyzing legal documents, and demanding transparency. At first, the movement was widely mocked. Major media outlets portrayed supporters as conspiracy theorists. Talk shows joked about it. Comment sections dismissed it. But the fans kept asking one question: if Britney is truly fine, why isn't she allowed to speak for herself? Then came the 23rd of June 2021. On that day, Britney Spears appeared via phone in a Los Angeles courtroom to address the judge overseeing her conservatorship. What followed was one of the most shocking testimonies ever given by a celebrity. Britney spoke for over 20 minutes uninterrupted, emotional, and unfiltered. And for the first time, the world heard her side. Britney did not sound scripted. She sounded angry. She sounded hurt. She sounded exhausted. She said she had been afraid to speak earlier because she didn't believe anyone would listen. She described feeling traumatized, controlled, manipulated. One of the most disturbing revelations was about her lack of bodily autonomy. Britney told the court she had been forced to keep an IUD and was not allowed to remove it, despite wanting to have another child. She said she had been required to work against her will, performing and touring even when she didn't feel capable. She talked about medications she didn't want to take. And perhaps most chilling of all, she said, "I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end it." For someone who had been under legal control for 13 years, this was devastating. The word that changed everything: abusive. At one point, Britney used a word that instantly changed the conversation worldwide. She called the conservatorship abusive. That single word validated years of fan concerns. It reframed the narrative. This was no longer about a troubled pop star being protected. It was about power, control, and consent. And suddenly, the people who had dismissed the Free Britney movement were forced to listen. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Celebrities spoke out in support. Legal experts questioned how this was allowed to continue. Fans flooded social media with messages of solidarity. Even people who had never followed Britney closely were stunned. How could someone be considered capable enough to earn millions, yet incapable of making basic life decisions? Why had no one intervened sooner? And perhaps most importantly, how many other people were trapped in similar systems without a global spotlight? After the testimony, the media tone changed almost overnight. The same outlets that once mocked the movement now ran headlines questioning the conservatorship. Journalists re-examined old interviews. Legal analysts began scrutinizing court documents. For the first time in years, Britney wasn't being spoken about, she was being listened to. Looking back, the 23rd of June 2021 wasn't just a hearing, it was a breaking point. From that moment on, Britney Spears faced increasing legal pressure. New attorneys entered the case. The court could no longer ignore public scrutiny. Most importantly, Britney had reclaimed something she hadn't had in years: her voice. And once she spoke, the system that silenced her began to collapse. In November 2021, the conservatorship officially ended. Britney Spears was legally free for the first time in over a decade. The reaction was massive. Fans celebrated worldwide. Other celebrities voiced support. Media framed it as a historic victory. For many people, this felt like the end of a story, but in reality, it was the beginning of a much more complicated chapter. One of the first noticeable changes after the conservatorship ended was Britney's silence, at least in traditional media. She didn't do a major TV interview, a press tour, a polished public rebrand. Instead, Britney spoke directly through Instagram. Her posts were raw, emotional, sometimes joyful, sometimes confusing. She posted long captions, dancing videos, emotional reflections, sudden deletions. For fans, this was both exciting and concerning. On one hand, this was clearly someone finally speaking freely. On the other, it raised questions about how supported she truly was. One of the biggest changes after the conservatorship was how Britney communicated. During the conservatorship, her social media was believed to be heavily monitored. After it ended, Britney's online presence became much more unpredictable. She posted unfiltered thoughts, anger toward family members, gratitude toward fans, cryptic messages about trauma. Some fans saw this as healing. Others worried it was a sign of someone processing years of trauma in real time with millions watching. The truth is, both can be true. Britney's relationship with her family changed dramatically after the conservatorship. She openly criticized her father, her mother, her sister. She expressed feelings of betrayal and abandonment. What became clear was this: ending the conservatorship did not magically repair years of emotional damage. In many ways, it made those wounds more visible. Britney began setting boundaries, something she hadn't been legally allowed to do before. And boundaries, while healthy, often come with conflict. One of the most visible changes after the conservatorship was Britney's personal autonomy, especially in her romantic life. In 2022, she married Sam Asghari. This moment symbolized something huge: a wedding on her terms, a relationship not controlled by legal guardians, a personal milestone she had been denied before. For a while, Britney seemed genuinely happy, but the marriage eventually ended. And once again, the public narrative became intense. Many people assumed that once the conservatorship ended, the media would back off. That didn't happen. Instead, the scrutiny shifted. Before, Britney was watched as someone controlled. After, she was watched as someone unfiltered. Every post became a headline. Every action became a debate. Freedom did not mean privacy. This is one of the most important points. Ending a conservatorship does not undo trauma. Mental health experts have repeatedly said that people who experience long-term control often need years to rebuild identity, trust, emotional regulation. Britney has hinted repeatedly that she is still processing pain. Freedom is not the finish line. It's the starting point. Another major change was Britney's relationship with her career. After the conservatorship, she made it clear she did not want to perform. She felt exploited by the industry. Music had become associated with trauma. This shocked fans, but it was honest. For the first time, Britney could say no. That alone is a massive change. Britney still has one of the most devoted fan bases in the world. But even support can become pressure. Fans analyze her posts, debate her well-being, argue about what's best for her. Sometimes, the very people who fought for her freedom struggle to step back and let her live it. So, what actually changed after the conservatorship? Legal autonomy, financial control, personal choice, freedom of speech. What didn't magically change? Trauma, public scrutiny, emotional healing timeline, media obsession. Freedom gave Britney the right to live imperfectly, and that may be the hardest thing for the world to accept. Britney Spears' story isn't just about celebrity, it's about power, mental health, control. Who gets to decide what stability looks like? Her case changed how people view conservatorships worldwide, and her life after it reminds us that freedom is complex. Instead of asking, "Is Britney okay?" maybe the better question is, are we okay with letting her be human? Because what changed for Britney Spears after the conservatorship wasn't perfection, it was choice, and that may be the most powerful change of all. If you found this breakdown helpful, respectful, and informative, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more deep dive celebrity stories. And let me know in the comments, do you think the world truly understands what Britney went through, or are we still missing the point?